Good. Okay. 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 What the fuck is this? Yeah. This is very. I understand this is a very unusual job that I'm doing. There's a lot of questions. There's a natural curiosity that comes with this. I get it. All right. Like I said, I graduated from law school. Like what was it? 2009. So that's. What is that? 14 years? Oh no, 15 years. I graduated 15 years ago, and I went to law school in Australia. And so, in Australia, it's undergraduate. So when we graduated, we were all like 21-year-olds. And I went to law school with a bunch of like type A personality, hyper-competitive like nerds, right? So everyone became management consultants, investment lawyers, bankers. And we're all like 15 years into our respective careers now. And whenever we have the misfortune of meeting up, whenever I see my old law school friends, they always like come at me with this like interrogation about what I do now. But the questioning is never like sincere curiosity. There's always this like tinge of maliciousness in it. I can never figure out what that was until I realized like in their type A personality corporate world, everyone is constantly scanning each other like the Terminator to see where that person ranks vis-a-vis them. So they know whether they can talk down to that person or they have to kiss that person's ass. And this job is so unusual, they can't figure it out. So you can see them like running the numbers like the Terminator the whole time when they're talking to me. They're always like, hang on, wait, Ronnie, so you're on TV sometimes, but you're not famous, but you're in big movies, but they're small roles. So what, do I talk down to you or do I kiss your ass now? Just tell me how much money you make. How much money do you make? I can't figure out this social hierarchy. And the questioning will not stop until they find out what's wrong with their life. So they feel better about their own decisions. Right? And it come in super hot as well. So I'll be like walking down the street in Singapore and there'll be someone I haven't seen in like 15 years and they like see me across the street, they run across and they're like, oh Ronny, hey man, I haven't seen you so long. Hey, great, how you doing? Okay, that's fine. Hey, listen, hey man, that movie you did, that little movie you did, what was that? Wealthy, Filthy Asians. How did that do? How did that little indie movie do? Did it go okay for you? Did that project go okay for you? What? $300 million box office? Woo! Shit. Okay, yeah, but you were just a small role in that, right? And you're just like a little, what, you got residuals? Because of the union? Fuck. Okay, yeah, but you had to quit the Daily Show to do that movie, right? Like you had to quit one. How did you choose between those two projects? That was no, what, you kept doing both? The whole time, you collected the checks from both projects the whole time? Shit. Okay, yeah, but I see you every night in New York City. You're running around New York City, you're doing 5-6 shows a night, then on Wednesdays you have to go to fucking Red Bank. You must be exhausted, right? How exhausted are you? How exhausted are you? How tiring is that life? How much do you hate it? You hate it? What? You love doing that? That's your passion? It's not even about the money? Hey, shut up! Everybody shut up! Everybody shut up! How long is your Daily Show contract for? How long is your Daily Show contract for? How many days is your contract for? What? 1 year? It's 1 year? What are you doing after a year? What are you gonna do after a year? You don't know? You don't know? Oh, you have no job security? Oh, thank God you have no job security! God, thank Buddha. Thank you, Buddha. He has no job security. Oh, you scared me for a second. I thought I wasted my life. But you have no job security. Oh man, well next time open with that. This goddamn Inquisition. Alright, so what are you working on next? What are you working on next? What's your next project? What's your next project? You can tell me. You can tell me, I'll keep a secret. What's your next project? What? What is it? What? What? 双七双开双哭泣双七双双双无天双 I never heard of it. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that minor Marvel character. I have never heard of that character. I have never heard of that. I've never heard of that minor Marvel character. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. They always sound like the villain from Taken. Good luck. Every time I do that joke and there's like someone I went to law school with in the show, like they never know it's them. That's how lacking in self-awareness these fucking nerds are. Like after the show, they're always like, man, that law school bit is great. I'm like, yeah, that's you. Alright, before I go, I just got one last thing to show you guys. Hannah, are you ready? Yeah, that's my wife, Hannah. She's in there. Made the trek all the way from Manhattan. Yeah, so I'll tell you this quick story. This is why I ended up quitting Twitter. I never got around to telling my dad about show business. Like we couldn't talk about show business, not because he hated it, but just because he just couldn't understand the business enough. And so it was just, we never had a good conversation. Like he couldn't understand what I was doing in Godzilla vs. Kong. Right? He'd be like, why are you there? Why don't you just go over there? I'm like, Dad, I don't control the edit, okay? I'm just a fucking Chinatown shopkeeper number 3, okay? And I never told him anything about, I stopped talking to him about what I was doing for work. Like we didn't stop talking, I just stopped talking about work, right? And he never bothered to ask me anymore. And so I didn't even tell him I got hired on the Daily Show. Because that, it was just, I just didn't think it was something that he would understand anyway. And I didn't need him to understand it, I was at peace. And so 2 years in, he called me one day and he was like, hey, what's this I hear about you joining the Daily Show? And I'm like, yeah, Dad, that was like 2 years ago. And he read it in the local newspaper. And he called it the Everyday Show. And for parents, like the local paper is like the fucking, that's the fucking achievement level. And so he was like, oh man, this thing says that you're in the Everyday Show with, who is it, Trevor Noah? I'm like, yeah, I'm a show. He's like, what show is this? I'm like, oh, it's American satire show. They pioneered modern American political satire. And like, oh, okay, cool, what do you do on the show? I'm a correspondent. And he's like, oh, what was that? I'm like, oh, I help the host with like comedy segments. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Hey, mate, he's just a sidekick. So it's like we just couldn't talk about it, not because we didn't want to talk, it was just too different, we didn't know, we weren't even speaking the same language. So he never asked me about it and I stopped telling him, and we talked about other stuff, right? And then he passed away very unexpectedly on Christmas. One year, the day before Christmas, he's on his farm in Malaysia and he left. And so I was actually on my way back to see him anyway, the next day, but I just one day too late. And when I got there, because he passed away so unexpectedly, we all had to handle his estate because he obviously didn't expect himself to go. So we had to go, it was like all hands on deck, like trying to figure out his accounts, trying to figure out what he was doing. And part of that process was I had to hack into his computer. So I open his laptop and there's a password and I'm like, I know this guy pretty well, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the birthday of his favorite child. So I typed in my sister's birthday and fucking spot on, it was that shit. And I've gone to his computer, literally that's how I got in, and then I opened his web browser and I'm looking at his history, I'm like, oh fuck, I hope I do not find my dad's porn, please. Do not let me find my dad's porn, because I don't care what it is, it could be missionary and I still can't take it. I'm gonna have to burn this laptop. And for like Chinese people, like if you burn stuff, it goes to your ancestors. So then it'll go to my granddad and then he'll have to explain to his dad. And it's just, like, we don't want this. Anyway, I opened the web browser, his web browser, and thank Buddha, no porn. My dad, clean cut guy, or he hid it or something, but there was no porn in his history. He only had 2 websites that he visited every day, like clockwork. 6 a.m., 6 p.m. He would visit 2 websites. First website was the local news website, and the second website was my Twitter page. So it turns out every day he would just reload the page, and that's how he would keep up with what I was doing, because we just wouldn't talk about it. And so he was still interested. So my Twitter would be like, oh, I'm doing Red Bank on Wednesday, come, stuff like that. So he would see those kind of, and that's how he kept up with me, and that's also why he stopped asking me. just because it was just on my Twitter. But the problem is that this is unfortunately the last tweet he ever saw me post. So the tweet is, if you're a baby boomer on Twitter, I already know you're a fucking loser. So this was the last webpage he loaded. And this is kind of what made me quit Twitter, because I was just like, you know, I want to act as though everything I do is the last thing my parents might see me do. And I just didn't want to keep being the worst version of myself, even though this is technically my job. And so I deleted it after that. But if it's any solace, even though this was the last tweet you probably saw based on my forensic research, this was his phone when he passed away, and it's kind of dark, you can't really see it, but like if you can kind of make out, that's me and my wife. This is his phone, that's his wallpaper, and that's me. We are in Hawaii, and I'm wearing two leis because my mom threw one off and I put it on. And I like to think like this is the last digital image you probably saw of me before he left. So, anyway, you guys have been great. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for hanging out so late. Happy New Year. Take care.
Thank you, Ronny.